Imagine this. You're in a meeting room, and one of your coworkers suddenly stands up and says, "Boss, this idea is simply not gonna work. Either we start looks maxing right now, or we're gonna get mocked by the other companies." Half of the room laughs knowingly, understanding the joke, while the other half stares in confusion, much like my audience right here. Well, words like brain rot, gyat, skibbity, these are terms that originated from social media's chaotic but very creative nature. You see, these words aren't just born out of nowhere, and I'm here to tell you that. How trend goes to vocabulary. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Phyo, and today I'll be answering that exact question. So, let us begin all the way from the start of the English language, around the 16th century, when modern English was becoming modern English. Back then, linguistic power rested in the hands of academics, scholars, and playwrights, like William Shakespeare. I'm sure all of you know him. He has also added hundreds upon hundreds of words into the English dictionary. One of those words is the word lonely. So, I want you to keep this in mind. The word lonely took over 10 years to go from its first ever usage to becoming widely accepted. However, today, we're witnessing something entirely new. Social media has now caused an imbalance in this power. Now, language is democratized. Anyone with a phone and a good idea can create a word that spreads globally within weeks, sometimes months. Let me show you the word of the year from Oxford in 2022. Goblin mode. The word goblin mode wasn't word of the year because it was made by a famous author or academic, but because it resonated with us, the community. People all around the world felt goblin mode because, well, after the pandemic, we all felt this similar post-pandemic burnout. This isn't an isolated case either. Similarly, words like brain rot for 2024 and pandemic for 2020 all are born from our shared real-time interactions on platforms like Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, anywhere really. To better understand this though, this is showing that language is truly democratic and how this is a top-down process, but now we have made it into a bottom-up process where this is just like a big project and all of us have the pen and we're all working on it together. To better understand this, however, I would like to introduce to you guys something I like to call the language ripple effect. Firstly, a word is coined in a niche community. It can come out from any community, whether it's your biology class, cooking lessons, or maybe even NASA discovering a new type of space rock. That new word will then get coined in different communities, like between DMs or maybe Instagram, where people from those communities will leave them in comment sections, where they will get picked up and more exposed. And after that, it becomes adopted, where the term gets more relevance and more streamers start to notice it. And soon after that, it gets in the dictionary. A really good example of a word that took this path would be the word Riz. You see, the word Riz, originally thought to come from the gaming community, is used to rate game or charm when it came to men talking to women. However, this wasn't really well known until a certain someone named Kai Cenat popped out on Twitch and used it in his stream. Millions of people saw it online and started using it in their daily vocabulary. And long before it entered the dictionaries, it was in advertising campaigns and even marketing circles. Really, really fascinating stuff. This process isn't just fast. It's absolutely revolutionary because it bypasses the traditional gatekeepers of language and allows society itself to dictate which words matter. Words, at their core, are tools. They are tools that we use to communicate, share ideas, express emotions, and solve problems. However, they are also alive. They are living, breathing things that evolve, adapt, and sometimes even die. Words like love and freedom will persist for centuries. This love will always exist as long as the human race exists. Love is always in the air. However, some words will lose relevance as time goes on. Take the word defenestration. Raise your hands up if you know what defenestration means. Okay, I see a few hands. For those of you that do not know what this word means, it is the act of throwing someone out the window. In the 16th century, this was a really popular term used when the Black Plague hit the people. Hospitals just did not have enough ground to bury the deceased from the Black Plague. So, defenestration was the way to go. However, today, we no longer see this term. Luckily. However, words like fetch and groovy are also cultural mainstays. But now, just like defenestration, they are relics. However, some words just refuse to die. They do not want to be like defenestration. They want to survive and keep being used. However, something really interesting happens when you introduce social media into the mix. You see, the word gun is not notable for being violent or malice-inducing. It's a pretty tame word, just describing a handheld firearm that shoots a bullet. However, YouTube and TikTok does not agree with me, and they go as far as age restricting and shadow banning the video that contains the word gun, because they believe it's violent. However, we're talking about social media here, the chaotic and creative environment that we all know and love. So we came up with pew pew. The word pew pew is actually a two-in-one solution. Firstly, of course, it's bypassing the community guidelines and allowing creators to say the word gun without actually saying gun. However, the next interesting thing about pew pew is that it's really good at retaining viewer retention rates, because YouTube analytics show that when a video contains the word pew pew, it does better than other alternatives of gun, such as firearm. In fact, it is so good that it is now in fact discussed in media, academia, and even the policy-making circles themselves. Now, this comes to an important question. What really determines whether a word lives or dies? The answer lies in utility and resonance. A word will survive if it captures a shared experience or fulfills a linguistic gap. So now, I would like you guys to take a guess. What do you think the word brain rot does? Does it fulfill a linguistic gap, or does it capture a shared universal experience? If you think it's the first one, please raise your hands now. If you think it's the second one, please raise your hands now. Yes. Now let me take you back to the first time I heard the word brain rot. It was on Instagram Reels. I was just scrolling by, not really keeping it in my head. It was doom scrolling. But then, after a few minutes, I realized just how perfectly brain rot described the state of mind I was in. I was so consumed in doom scrolling that I simply lost the track of time. And I'm sure this is a feeling that all of us can relate to. So I challenge you guys to name a word that describes this feeling better than brain rot. Exactly. You guys can't. Because this is the perfect word for it. This is the emotional power of social media-driven language. These words aren't just created out of nowhere. They're from our real-time shared experiences that we've all collectively felt. This has fundamentally changed the rules of language evolution. Take gaslighting. Gaslighting is a really complex psychological concept. However, today, with social media and the rise of horrible romantic partners, have given this word more popularity. Gaslighting is now a common term. Once thought to be a really complex psychological concept, was now given to millions. We all can articulate feelings of manipulation and abuse that we otherwise wouldn't have been able to. Now, at this point, you might be wondering, why does this matter to me? Why should I care about these internet words making it into the dictionary? It's not like it's gonna affect my daily life. Okay, sure. 1 out of 5 advertisements have these new slangs in them. All right, maybe you're not into advertising, sure. But I am very sure that all of us watching here live in a country. You're on Earth, you have to be on a country. So, a country has politics, and politics currently is being affected by social media. If you do not believe me, I will want you to take a look at this clip of the Australian senator trying to cater to the Gen Z audience.
To the Sigmas of Australia, I say that this goofy-air government have been capping, not just now but for a long time. A few of you may remember when they said there'll be no phantom tax under the government I lead. They're capaholics. They're also yapaholics. They yap non-stop about how their cost of living measures are changing lives for all Australians. Just put the fries in the bag, little bro.
Right. And I'm going to be putting the fries in the bag soon. So, this is the future we're headed to. Whether it's us younger generations growing up and taking over these places, or it's these current people trying to cater to us, the ever-growing market. This is why it matters, because social media has fundamentally changed the rules of language evolution. Words like gyat and skibbity are no longer just words. They're reflection and evidence of a larger cultural shift. Because now, for the first time in human history, we can now create language. It's not confined to scholars or anything. It's us. Whether it's meme creators on Twitter, your friends on Discord, or maybe even your dad lying on the couch just casually coming up with a new word. However, this isn't just about keeping up with trends. It's about understanding the deeper shift at play. Because, for the first time, anyone can create a word that goes viral and see it in the dictionary during their lifetime. Language is changing. The question is, will you adapt and help shape its future? Or will you get left behind? Thank you.